What is going on, guys? I have come here to chew bubblegum and review Killing Floor 3, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Good to see you guys. Today we're going to be going over my experience with the Killing Floor 3 beta. We have a little order of operations going on here. We're going to first be looking at the specialists, see the pros and cons of those, just give you my general thoughts on them. Next, we're going to be looking at the gameplay overall, just how it feels to me, how much fun I'm having. We're going to be looking at some of the visuals in the game as well. We're going to be taking a peek at the Zeds or the monster designs that we have there, and some thoughts and improvement on there. We're going to be looking at content as well, looking at some things that I would want to have in there, some things that I like having in there already. And then we're just going to go into some general thoughts and my feel of the game overall. But before we get into it, if you wouldn't mind hitting like, give me a follow, hit subscribe if you're on YouTube. I'd really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into this. So the first specialist we're going to be looking at is the Commando. It's a fun class, a lot of speed involved with it. The guns are pretty fun. The only issue with the guns is they do seem to be a little monotonous. The three that we had, well, I guess four, but there wasn't a whole lot of variety and feel to them. Maybe the third one in the list looks like the Scar 17. That one felt a little unique, but in general, nothing too crazy with them. I thought they were pretty well balanced. The issue that I found with the Commando is that when switching weapons sometimes I discovered that it will show negative ammunition available to you, and then you can't shoot, you can't reload, nothing. You gotta switch to your first gun and switch back, and then that takes care of it. But overall I thought it was fun. The specialist ability was pretty alright. Overall it's a very well balanced specialist. Pretty useful. It seemed to be really good for taking out more of the smaller dudes and just kind of keeping those guys at bay. The little drone you've got is extremely useful, I found. Excellent crowd control. And next we have the Fire Break Specialist. Now this one was my personal favorite during the beta. The guns felt really fun to use, and the missile launcher deal, that one was okay. Not my favorite. I can see it has some potential. The charge up time on that was a little bit long, a little frustrating to deal with. But as far as using the submachine gun, the first submachine gun you get for that is excellent. I love that first gun. The only issue I found with it is that the skins and camo that we had access to don't work on it. That was kind of a drawback. Every other gun I was able to put some sort of camo on, no issue. But that one, for whatever reason, just would not accept putting a skin on it. Not sure what that was all about. All the guns felt very well balanced. There's a lot of variety in the Firebreak's weapons, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I appreciate it so much. You start out with your submachine gun. You can go up to your double barrel pump action shotgun, which I think was pretty fun. You have your flamethrower and then your rocket launcher flamethrower combination thing. I don't know. But I did really appreciate having the diversity and weaponry there. I thought that was pretty good. Her secondary is dope. I don't know what else I can say about it. It is a powerhouse, and I felt so good just blasting away dudes, especially for the husks. Man, when they fly up there, but they got their back turned to you, you pop them with that revolver, and they just, it is satisfying. The specialist ability that she had, the ground pound, like aerial damage, was really, really useful. I relied on that thing a lot. It was really good to have, especially when you have the medic throwing their shield down. You can kind of clear all those Zeds out of that healing field really easily, and really beneficial for the team. So Firebreak, top tier as far as I'm concerned. Next up, we've got the Engineer. This one has a lot of potential. I had some issues, mostly the fact that the shotguns that you get for them are pathetic. They are extremely weak. It was kind of frustrating having to dump, a quarter mag into one sis to take them out, but I'm used to Killing Floor 2 where, sis is grabbing you, boom, good night. So that was really disappointing. Hopefully they buff those shotguns up. That's something that really needs to happen. His sonic ability for the specialist ability. It was okay. It's great for clearing out a hallway full of Zeds. There's something about it. It didn't feel as fulfilling. Just hitting them with the sound. It would be really cool if it was more of a actual kinetic weapon that was hitting them. I don't know. Even if you had like a couple machine guns up there, taking them out, that'd be pretty fun. But anyway, it was effective. It just wasn't the most fun to use. Another thing that I noticed is the grenade launcher. It was good. It was effective. The blast radius, I think, could have a larger damage radius. For being a 40 millimeter grenade, it was kind of underwhelming. It was effective, but also the travel speed on that grenade launcher, a little low. It should be flying a little bit faster, I think. As far as playing the actual character or the specialist itself, it was very meh. There wasn't anything that really set it apart too much other than the fact that the shotguns suck. So I didn't end up using that one a whole lot. There's room for growth on the engineer for sure. Definitely beefing up those shotguns, increasing the explosion radius of the grenade launcher would be excellent. So yeah. Next up is the sharpshooter. As far as the actual specialist goes, using the weapons and everything, excellent. I freaking love using the weapons. The issue that I have that you'll see here is aiming down the enhanced magnification scopes, like your sniper scopes and stuff. As soon as I start aiming down the scopes when there's too many enemies, frame rates just tank. But as soon as I zoom out, it's fine. It goes back to normal. Zoom in, it starts killing my frame rate to the point where it actually crashed the game a couple of times. As far as the weapons go, they're nice and powerful. I appreciated using them. They were a lot of fun. Her cryo grenades are probably the most effective grenades out of the whole lineup. The ability is pretty alright. It's nice for covering your butt when you're in a tight spot. Yeah, nothing too crazy there. Just the frame rate drop when looking through scopes sucked. Now, next up, we've got the Ninja Specialist. This one I was having some really interesting issues with. Number one being the healing for it. All the other specialists, as soon as you need to heal, tap Q and you're good to go. This one, I actually had to hold down Q to be able to get him to start healing, which was really frustrating because it was, I think, the last specialist that I tried out, and so I was already used to hitting Q for all of them. And then for this one, having to hold it to actually get him to be able to heal was pretty frustrating. And so that definitely has got to get changed. The weapons are really, really fun for the ninja. The kuni, I don't know. But his little dagger deals, those were probably my favorite weapons to use for him. Being able to switch from melee to distance throwing was pretty fun. There are some issues with it. I didn't experience it as much, but I know that my buddy Wampus Wolf was running into this quite a bit because he played exclusively ninja through the entire freaking beta. But there were some times where different combinations of weapons, he would have a full inventory of shurikens, and it would just drop to zero as soon as he picked up a weapon out of the trader. So I'm not sure what was going on there. I also ran into, it was at one point, I think I was doing some parrying, and I ended up, for whatever reason, losing my entire inventory of throwing stars. So that should not be happening. We ran into a crazy glitch with the ninja where if a Scrake was grappling me and pulled me over there and he decided that he was going to grapple the Scrake, because that's the ability that the ninja has, is that you can grapple a guy, pull him to you, or pull yourself to him. If he grappled a Scrake while that Scrake was trying to grapple me, it would instantly just freeze me in the animation of me being yanked by the Scrake. And I would completely lose the ability to shoot, reload, heal, do anything. Completely immobilized. Couldn't look around. I was completely stuck. There were a few times, though, where the Scrake was also stuck in that position. Not sure what was going on there. It wouldn't attack me. Other Zeds would, but the Scrake wouldn't attack me. It was really weird. And the only way that we determined to fix it is if either I died or the Scrake died. So that's something that needs to get fixed for sure. Overall, it was fun. The mobility of it was really nice, being able to run really fast. It was good. It felt very satisfying chopping stuff up. But yeah, there were just some weird glitches and issues that I was seeing just with that specialist in particular. And then lastly, we've got the medic. This one, there wasn't too much with it. The weapons were really fun. There's the one that makes you feel like a Ghostbuster. That was all right. There wasn't anything game-breaking I noticed with it. No weird glitches like with the ninja or the sharpshooter. It was just very meh. I would say next to the engineer, the medic really didn't have, there wasn't a whole lot going on. It's really valuable to have with a bigger team, especially when you're going into those higher difficulties. But all in all, it was nothing groundbreaking. It was okay. It was fun. All in all, with the specialists, I don't like having specialists. I think that the way it was in Killing Floor 2, where you had your characters that would be chosen separately from the perks, was definitely the way to go. In this one, it doesn't feel Killing Floor to me. It felt like I was playing like Black Ops 3 or something with specialists. Not a fan. And it looks like a lot of other people were not a fan as well. I think that's something that definitely should have been changed. Whether that ends up leading to a delay in the game, I'm not sure. But it looks like we should definitely be getting rid of those specialists, going back to the revered system of having a character separate from the perk system. I think that would be a wonderful improvement that I would personally love to see happen. Next up, going through just the general gameplay, I would say it feels really smooth. It was very responsive. All the controls were nice and tight. It resembled more of Call of Duty in terms of the responsiveness to the controls, which I really appreciated it. Having that snappier, more responsive movement was excellent. I felt definitely more in control of my character than previous Killing Floor games. One issue that I definitely found is anytime you're picking up syringes or you're activating a trap or something, pops up with E, says, press E to interact with whatever it is. Especially when picking up syringes or ammo from the tools that you get. That needs to be much more responsive. As it stands, picking up the syringes, you kind of have to stop moving and deliberately look at the item and hit E. I should be able to run past those syringes, and as soon as that prompt pops up to hit E and grab a syringe, I should be able to just grab it instead of stopping and waiting a couple seconds. That could end up killing me, and did multiple times. It needs to be much easier to pick up and interact with items. That needs to be adjusted. One thing that was really fun that I'm really glad they included was the executions. Felt so badass executing a Scrake or something, just dropping his face on his chainsaw, and just I'm really glad that they added that in there. It's really fun. The only thing that I would want to see with those executions is more variety. After you've executed a couple of Scrakes, a couple of flesh pounds, stabbed a couple of dudes in the head that tried to grab you, it got old. So I would definitely recommend adding some variety of executions in there. That would be excellent for the game. Now we're going to move on to the visuals. The blood looks great. As far as when it's actually flying out of the Zeds, when you start shooting them and chopping them up and everything, that aspect is excellent. As far as it being like the texture for the area that you're in and having to actually integrate with the map, the blood did not look as good on the environment as it did in Killing Floor 2. It seemed like Killing Floor 2, there was a little more chunkiness and depth to the blood. Once you go through a hallway that you've been murdering these Zeds in for a while, when you go back through again, it just looks like a nice, even paint coat on the whole thing. There needs to be some more texture, some more, for lack of better terms, chunkiness to it. I think would look a lot better. One thing that kind of irks me as someone who has an appreciation for firearms, the magazine on the engineer's first shotgun needs to get moved further up the gun and closer to the grip. The way that it is aesthetically, there's no room for the bolt to cycle behind the magazine, pick up the next round, and chamber it. It's that's just my firearms-tism going off there, but it's something that if you guys could just move that magazine a little bit closer to the grip, that would make me feel much at ease. So overall visuals, the game looks great. I really appreciated how everything looked. I love the new designs of the Zeds. That more gritty aesthetic is really, really cool, especially the Siren. Siren looks fantastic in this. Whoever came up with the creature design for the Siren for this game, man, hats off to you. Get that guy a raise. And actually, that is a great segue to lead into the Zeds in general and my thoughts on those. The Scrakes felt a little more bullet spongy than I would like, even more so than in Killing Floor 2. They didn't react too much to the volume of fire that was getting thrown at them. So I would like to see a little more responsiveness to them getting shot up so much. It just felt like I was sitting there shooting a brick wall for a while. So that was kind of frustrating. The movement of the creatures, of all the Zeds, looks good. I do appreciate the Husk having more mobility, and I mean, as frustrating as it is to get sniped from some distant rooftop, it does add a cool dynamic to the game, just having that more variety of attacks there. I was seeing some complaints from people about the Zeds being almost indistinguishable. I'm not sure what that's all about, where that's coming from. I thought the designs all looked really good, really cool. Again, that grittiness is really appreciated. The Queen Crawler, there were definitely some times when she was in, I would say, her final quarter of her health. There would be a lot of times where she would burrow and she would stay burrowed forever, and then she would pop up for seriously maybe 2 seconds and just go right back down, and it made that boss fight drag on forever. So that needs to get adjusted. It didn't happen every time, which is the weird thing, but every now and again we would run into it where it would take forever to get through that boss fight, and it was so grueling and time consuming because she would just pop out and burrow, and we had plenty of firepower to take her out, but it just took forever to do it. So that needs to get adjusted. Also, I don't know if anyone else was seeing this during the beta, but I personally ran into the Queen Crawler probably 4 times as often as any of the other bosses. It seemed like every time I got to a boss fight, it was going to be a Queen Crawler. So she needs to come up in the rotation much less, because honestly, the other 2 bosses were way more fun to fight, and I was getting kind of tired of seeing this giant Jerusalem cricket running at me all the time. Moving on from that, the Impaler was by far my favorite boss introduced in this beta. So badass looking. The first time I fought him, I just want to sit there and watch him run around because he just looks so freaking cool. The one thing with him is I would want to see a little more health. There, especially using the fire break specialist, she can absolutely murder that Impaler. So I would want to see his health increased a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I don't need it to be a Dark Souls boss, but just a little more challenge there, because it seemed a little too easy to take him out. The Chimera, excellent. Freaking love fighting that thing. It was pretty crazy. I'm really looking forward to seeing what some of the other bosses are going to be, because I'm hoping you guys are going to introduce a lot more. Next up, we're going to be looking at just the general content of the game. Number one, like I said before, we have to be able to pick a character independently from the perks. It was something that was really appreciated about the second game, something that I really enjoyed, and it seemed like a lot of other people did too. And I would love to see that come back, because the specialist thing it's been burned out for a while, so it's pretty disappointing to see that they brought specialists into this when that's not really what people were enjoying about Killing Floor 2. It's being able to, because let's be honest, everyone wanted to just be Commando DJ Scully running around. So being able to swap those out independently is a big thing that needs to get added. There needs to be a few more perks. This is just going off the assumption that we are going to switch to perks and separate characters instead of the specialists, especially after the poll that they released on X. It seems like everyone would really want to see the specialists get removed and have it go back to the separate characters, separate perks, and maybe delay the game to get that done. But either way, there needs to be more perk options. I enjoyed most of the ones that we had during the beta, but Killing Floor 2, just being able to dance around with a whole bunch of ones like the Gunslinger, so freaking cool. Loved having that. And just being able to dual wield secondaries in general was pretty great. And that kind of brings us into guns in general. There needs to be a lot more guns in here. It's fun doing all the customization. I really liked having all the customization of everything, being able to craft more ammo, being able to upgrade the attachments themselves was awesome. But there needs to be more guns in general. That was one of the things that I really liked about Killing Floor 2, is that I could play the same perk over and over and over and just mess around with different combinations of guns. I would really want to see that come back. And now that's going to bring us to my general thoughts. I'm just going to go through the things that I see that need to get fixed really quick, and then we're going to go into my thoughts of the game overall. Number one, there needs to be an option to cancel matchmaking when you're selecting matchmaking. There were many times where I was running into issues where I was having to wait almost 10 minutes to get into a match. That's a little too long. There were times where I was caught in that matchmaking loop that I would have preferred to just cancel the matchmaking, turn matchmaking off, go into a solo mission, and call it good. But the only solution at this point was to exit to the title screen and then go through all the menus and stuff, and then deselect it, and then go into matchmaking. So I think it's a small thing to get added, but I think it would be really nice to have, is being able to cancel the matchmaking if necessary. And then bringing back emotes. I don't know about you, but I love just doing all my little emotes, hanging out around the trader pod. That was just, it was goofy, it was fun, and I don't know, I liked it, so I want to see that come back. My overall thoughts, though, I had a ton of fun. I don't know about you guys, but I loved every minute of playing that game. Yeah, there were some things here and there that were kind of frustrating, but in general, it was excellent. Having the stronghold where you can just kind of hang out and go through all your perks and go through your armor and everything was really fun. But game as a whole, I love it. If it weren't for the specialist issues that I mentioned a couple of times, honestly, I would be hyped to have this on the 25th. I'm assuming that's probably going to get pushed back a little bit so it can address those, because I know that was a big concern for the community. But overall, I loved it. I thought the music was excellent. I loved it. The creature designs are awesome. The sound of the guns themselves were good. I liked the way that they sounded. I liked how everything moved, how it felt. The only hiccups I found were those performance issues with the sharpshooter, mostly. There were a couple of other times where I experienced some frame rate drops while just playing with a big group if there was a whole bunch of people. It was good, I enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to playing it again. So again, those are my initial thoughts on the Killing Floor 3 beta. I'm looking forward to playing this when it finally does come out. But until then, if you guys wouldn't mind leaving a like, thumbs up, follow, subscribe, I would really appreciate it. It helps me out quite a bit. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks.